Hi, I'm John McNestry. I'm a coach, a trainer, a facilitator, and for the last few years, I've run a training course called Visual Facilitation for Coaches. Um, Really a set of skills for people to be able to engage people when they want to explore, when they want to learn together, for workshops, for training courses, for lots of things. And I've loved running it. And I haven't run it very many times recently. So I thought I would take some of the content and record some videos and share it with the community. And you are here for that. Um, this is the first of the videos about a little bit of background and a little bit of neuroscience. So I'm going to take you through what we're going to do. Um, I'm just going to share my screen and I suppose, what to expect. There we go. So yeah, I said this is visual facilitation for coaches, but it's also for, I don't know, trainers, leaders, anyone who runs a workshop, anything like that, really. We're going to do a few different videos. So the first one we're doing right now is a little bit of background, how I found this, how I came to understand some of this, some of the history, little bit of neuroscience, why this matters, why this is important, why it could be useful. Second video we'll do is the 6 basics of visual facilitation. That's the drawing bit. If you're interested in the drawing side of things, that's probably where you're gonna want to spend your time. Um, Video 3 will be a bunch of practical examples, some of the things I've done before, some tools and ways of using some of these skills, and just this is just generally practicalities. If you're interested in things like pens um, and resources, you'll find that one good. And I'm just going to stick something else on the end. This wasn't part of this original training course, but it's something I did separately, which is live iPad facilitation. I suppose that's what I'm doing now, isn't it? There are a lot of cool tricks that you can use working remotely. Um, so yeah, this is the plan that we're planning to go through, one video at a time today, background and a bit of neuroscience. I said in one of the later ones, I'm gonna talk about pens and resources and probably convince you all to spend lots of money. But in the short term, I just want to say to get the most out of this, it would be good if you draw along. If you spend some time copying anything you see, don't like wait for me to say, copy this. Um, if you have a decent notebook in front of you, um, a black biro will do. I quite like technical drawing pens. I'll put some links. You'll be able to see all the stuff that I use, but a decent black writing pen. And if you've got a highlighter, pastel ones work quite nicely. If you've got all of this, you can follow along. Um, you can see some of the stuff that I'm doing, and that will be very helpful to you. Let me just stop sharing my screen a minute, just so people know. When I run this course live, the other thing I ask people to do is I give them some things that look like this. They're stickers, call them sticker notes. One of the things I'll mention later, I'll share links for how you do them. was about people being able to sort of scaffold their own thinking. So if you wanted to print these, cut them out, stick them into your notebook, you'd be very welcome to. That's something that we can do. Um, Something I wanted to do that is part of the live course as well is I wanted to give you a chance to think about how you feel when you are writing or drawing in public, because I still have a bit of a confidence issue around this sometimes, particularly my writing. We'll talk about handwriting in the second video. And something I give people is I give them a sticker that looks like this. It's one on the top left. I'll put it I'll put it on the screen while I am speaking. Hang on. Share the iPad again. Here we go. That's the one. Um, Ask people to go and have a think about this. Take a moment. You know, copy it if you like, quickly, and maybe pause the video in a minute just to have a think. But when you think about your confidence drawing and writing in a kind of work setting in front of people, if you were to give it a score out of 10, what would it be? What words come to mind when you think about it? What emotions and feelings come up? This is a reflective template. We'll talk about reflective templates later. The really powerful thing for people to be able to consider. So just write some of this down if you want to. Think about it, put it to one side. You can always come back to it another time. Um, One more thing before we start talking about the background of this. Um, Sometimes people, when they do this exercise, we get a lot of things coming out about how difficult they find it to draw, and people say, "Oh no, I can't draw. I can't draw. I can't write. Oh, I'll always be terrible." All that stuff you do, John. Oh, that's really cool. That is. I love that. I can't do that. And never be able to do that. I hope to just be a little bit less bad at the end of this course. Um, and that all really resonates with me. Because I spent quite a long time in the past saying I wasn't creative. And people call me a creative coach. I actually found that really difficult. But actually, I think everybody is creative when they find the right thing, the thing that they're meant to be doing, the thing that they're passionate about. You get really creative. So I got happy with that word. Um, and then I started to say that I'm not artistic when people look at my drawings and they go, "Well, they're really good, John." I go, no. I'm not very artistic, me. I never did GCSE art or anything like that. I can't draw. There you go, I'm saying it still. I kind of believe it still. But actually, I am artistic. We all, again, bring some art to what we do. So I now settle with the phrase, "I am not technically talented," this sort of thing. And actually, I think that's really good because it makes what I do really accessible. And I want to prove that to you. So I have a friend who is a coach, a lovely guy called Chris Thompson, who um, has a talent for graphic design in his previous life, and also doesn't think that he can draw very well. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share something with you because Chris, a few years back, decided he was going to draw um, an elephant every day, and he was going to put it on Twitter. And the intention was that he'd get better by practice, as you do. But he said, "Well, I'm not very good at this." And much as he is a lovely man and a fantastic coach, um, he's somewhat wrong. If we just share one of his tweets from a fair few years ago now, actually, uh, you can see that the guy can draw, right? It's beautiful and it's impressive, right? And I find this kind of thing really intimidating because I can't do that. I am not technically talented and gifted. So I thought I was going into Chris's work to do a talk. I thought I'm going to do the same thing and prove that I'm a little bit different. And that was my tweet. And that's Lumpy from the Winnie the Pooh Heffalump movie. And I am particularly proud of it. But what it shows you is that although I might be creative and I could be artistic, I am not technically talented. And I think this is really important because everything that we do in this course is accessible. And there will be people who do this and then are suddenly much, much better than me. I'm really pleased about that. That makes me really proud. But I hope that this makes me a good person to teach because everything I do, people can copy, people can do, and everyone who watches these videos will be able to do most of what I do by the end of them. So that's the plan. So I want to give you a little bit of background to this for me. So as a leader of teams, I often found myself sort of at the front of the room, being the person who had to lead a meeting, solve a problem, help the team or the group to do that. But it became more for me when I started to do some training courses. This is back in the technology world. I used to do quite a lot of training courses about Agile and Scrum, project delivery methodology. I'm quite extroverted in front of people, but actually, really, I'm an introvert. Um, and I would need to find a way to be confident. It was really important that even if I had a really bad day in front of this group of people who had come to be trained by me, that it wasn't the end of the world and that they got what they needed. So I had things like this. This is like 10 years old or more, and it's exactly what you'd expect. It's sort of two up, printed PowerPoint slides with diagrams, bit of clip art. You see the lovely, beautiful frosted, plastic front cover. It's a thing of beauty. And I had these, printed them. And at the start of a training course, I would go and I would lay them out, line everything up, put the slide on the screen on the big projector. And I would feel safe because I would know it was going to be a good day, even if I had a bad day as a teacher. I could take this away and I could pay some attention to it. Everything would be fine. So that structure made me feel safe. I mean, we can ignore the fact that everyone never reads these damn things and they put them in a drawer and it never sees the light of day again. But hey, but this is what would happen. And I feel safe. And then we get started. And I'm somebody who goes off-piste a bit. Um, yeah. And as soon as we started, something else would happen. Someone would say something really interesting in the room. And I'd go, oh, idiot. Don't have a slide for that. And something else would happen. I would have to look around and go, is there a, I don't know, a whiteboard? Is there a flip chart? See what I could find. Moment of panic. Because although this was completely inevitable and predictable, I wouldn't have planned for it. And I'd be like, oh no. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to pause this recording and I'm going to switch to find something in this room that might be a flip chart. One moment. Okay. Well, I found a flip chart. I've dragged it across the room. Right, oh, right, okay. Got to find a page. An empty page. There we go. Success so far. Right. Hey, I'm going to have to pick up a pen. I'm going to get started. Go, right, okay. Some kind of title. Yep. Bullet number one. Oh, pen's running out. That's quite disastrous, really, isn't it? I mean, I just picked it up off here. I know it looks like a Sharpie, but what do you usually find on these flip charts when I haven't planned, I haven't prepared or brought anything with me? It's probably a whiteboard pen. You tend to find procurement know no difference between whiteboard pens and flip chart pens. So suddenly I'm in a bit of a panic. I'll pick up something else. Keep going. Oh no, this one's actually worse, if anything. I'll go back to the first. And there's oh diagram. Oh, this is hard because standing in front of this, and I haven't exaggerated this too much. This is very similar to the sort of thing I would have produced. I feel so much panic. I can feel my heart rate has risen significantly. And I think it's just because it doesn't matter that it's untidy or it's messy or it's hard to read. I'm really just worried that the people who I'm speaking to, who I'm working with, I can't make myself understood and I can't do them justice. And the amount of panic that causes for me, wow, that's hard. Very relieved to be back over here. I'm sure there'll be people watching this who feel that very familiar. There usually is when I ask people about that. And I thought we'd do something about it. I think a lot of people hear visual facilitation, they think flip chart. I can make a nice looking flip chart. Definitely. And I suppose that's what I thought. And I went and I spent a couple of days in London learning some visual facilitation skills, a style called Big Habla. Um, I'll make sure I share the details. And I found the experience a little bit disappointing. I spent some time learning how to draw straight lines and all the right kinds of shapes. And I came back with some drawing skills that I didn't have before. A very little idea what to do with them. And that bothered me a little bit. And it took me a little while to put together visual facilitation, drawing skills, and proper facilitation, training, learning, exploration skills. I'm going to talk in a bit about another course I did at a similar time was something called Training from the Back of the Room, a set of material and ideas from a lady called Sharon Bowman. I'm going to talk about her neuroscience thinking in a moment because there's a lot behind that. And it was kind of putting those two things together that gave me a lot of the skills that I use daily now. So, what did I do when I came back? Um, I started to use the skills for myself. So we talked about me as a trainer before. And I go to training courses as well. I enjoy them. And I always used to be the person who, again, when I got given something like this, I got really excited because it meant that I could put this off to one side safely. I had the material, and I could be the person who sits at the front, smiling, being engaged, maybe helping the trainer a little bit by being that friendly face. Um, and I decided to do something very different for a training course, a big one that I was about to attend. Um, and I didn't sit at the front, I sat towards the back, and I sat with a notebook, and I used some of the drawing skills, and I sketched what I heard. Just the odd word here and there. I'm a coach, so I'm quite good at picking out the odd word, the words that matter for me, or the words that seem to matter to the client, language that resonates. Um, and I just sort of produced a couple of pages for each session that I was at this training course. Put my head down. It was interesting because maybe I didn't hear 100% of what was said in the room, but I heard 90. And the 90 that I heard, I captured in a way that made it considerably more meaningful for me. Now, logic behind this comes from Sharon Bowman's thinking around training and learning. I'm just going to share my screen again, sketch a little something. Are we? Yeah. Yeah. So, Sharon, Sharon Bowman talks about the six trumps of learning. These things are better than the other. So she talks about pictures over words. I think some of this is about metaphor. Our brains react well to images. They're a richer medium. Although language does matter. Talking over listening. Getting people to speak and be part and synthesize their thinking. Um, movement, just sitting. Get people up, get the oxygen flowing, if nothing else. Um, shorter over longer. And different over the same. Our brains tend to ignore what they're expecting and get shocked when there's something different. The one actually that really mattered here for me is writing over reading. When we write something, it's what you call a whole brain activity. You can't be thinking about your shopping when you're writing something down. You have to be thinking about the thing you're writing down. In order to write something down, we have to take in some information, we have to synthesize it, we have to shake it around our head a little bit, and then we have to put down our opinion, our version of it. And this is what I did in a training course. And this was what was surprising to me. The connections that were made to the information. I can look at notes that I took, visual notes that I took, spatial notes. There's a kinesthetic nature to it. You know, if you're writing, your hand is moving, different part of your brain. But I can look at those notes and I can feel a connection back to what happened in the room years later. There is information sat behind the page because I helped make it. And the page, the information on the page is really just a set of anchors to that deeper learning. And this is what we're trying to achieve with visual facilitation. And there's two sort of sections to it. One I've been talking about for now, but part one, yourself, your own learning and exploration. And this is done by sketchnoting, live recording. You see people in the back of conferences with massive, boards drawing beautifully artistic stuff about the conference. But actually, I'm talking about you and a piece of paper or a notebook, something that you're interested in, something that you care about, writing a few words down, creating some connections, laying out the information. This is writing over reading, making connections. And we make them in the moment to the information that sits behind the page. An anchor to what we learned and what we experienced. Mm. And it's so much more powerful than one of these training notes that might have loads of information in, but I didn't make them and I didn't create them. The fact that my brain thinks, knows that I made this thing it connects the information together, and that's really powerful. So it's all well and good, right? If you want to learn to improve your own learning and your own growth and your own development. But most people, whether we're coaches helping to facilitate exploration or we're someone running a workshop, a facilitator or a trainer, we really want to work on behalf of others. And that's what part 2 is. Working on behalf of others. And this is really cheating. This is using the skills that you have as someone who has visual facilitation knowledge to help to trick the brains of the people that you're working with. We do this by helping them to be part of creating something. It doesn't have to be something beautiful, but something structured and organized and that looks better than most people can draw themselves. This might be, live collection or recording the information that's being shared in a room, people's ideas, bringing them together, collecting the words that matter, the phrases that people say. It might be things like reflective templates, giving people something that they can write on, that they can add to, they can put post-it notes on. This is about people being part of or feeling like they were part of creating the information on the page so that they are connected to and linked to the information behind the page. We help them do what they can't. We do it with templates. We do it with preparation. It's not about creating beautiful drawings. It's about creating something that people's brains feel they were part of. And they look back and they go, oh, my brain goes, I made that. Or I made part of that. Or I can see a little piece of me in it. And that's magic. And then when they look back at it, it's their creation and the knowledge behind the page is accessible to them. Yeah. A little tip is to do the easy stuff live and do the hard stuff not live. Look at my pretty little information behind the page drawing with the little peoples holding their light bulbs. Do that first. The rest of it I did live with you. And if you look back at this, you'll remember it being created and you'll feel a little bit more part of it, even though this is a one-way medium. If I just had a tidy, beautiful version of this, it wouldn't have the same connection. So that's what we're looking at doing. We use things like templates, we use things like preparation, we use things like collecting things live in front of people, bringing their words and their ideas into it where we can. And that's what visual facilitation is about. Helping people to have considerably more information than the stuff we share. And that's magic. I think that just about brings us to the end of this first video. So thank you for watching. In the second video, we're going to have some practical chance to actually look at some of this and try some of this. We'll look at the 6 basics of visual facilitation, which is, I'll see if I can remember them, writing, layout, containers, little boxes and shapes and things, little people, shading and shadow and things like that. And then the 6th one is icons and pictures, which actually is the least important. All of the stuff that you see me draw on my iPad, I will put into PDFs for each video and I'll make sure I share the links for them. So thank you very much and see you on the next video.